So today we are completing our series on abundance. We've been using The Abundance Project, a book by Derek Rydall, as our guide as we've looked at many different aspects of abundance and how it shows up and how we show up as part of that process. We began by recognizing that the real source and substance of abundance is God. That God that gets expressed from within each of us. And anytime that we make something or someone outside of ourselves the source of our supply, whether that's love or money or health or happiness, we tend to limit the flow of our abundance by living in the anxiety of the one constant thing we can count on, which is change. When that's our source, we're always afraid because something's going to change. The author reminds us that becoming the source of your life, that God within, is a process. Developing this capacity to trust this part of yourself enough to lean on it and to live from it, regardless of what's going on outside in the outer conditions, is a muscle that you have to build by working on it. And like working out your body, and I can relate to this very well, you don't always want to exercise. You don't always enjoy the exercise. You sometimes feel sore after you've exercised. And it can be that if we don't see results as quickly as we would like, it's very tempting to just give up on it. How many of you start out really well at the beginning of the year, and then as time and demands go on, it seems like that's an easy one that you can kind of let go of? The same is how we practice our abundance principles. And if you can stay committed to the goal and are able to be kind and patient with yourself along the way, and get whatever help that you need to heal any blocks, the guarantee is you will be successful. It likely means working through some universal blind spots. We talked about these several weeks ago, that we are separate from our good, and somehow we have to go out and get it or achieve it or attract it or maintain it or keep it. That many people see wealth and define it as money or material things. That we have a blind spot about adapting to circumstances. When the outer contracts, we tend to want to contract along with it, when that's exactly the time where we need to seek to expand even more. And another blind spot is the belief that focusing on, at times in our life, money or material things is just not spiritual. That's, I think, a lot of people that have lived for a long time, that's not something I want. But we've discovered, or at least I've discovered, that the only real value of money is to make us comfortable enough to do the things that we are here on this earth to do. We explored 7 abundance activators to practice. And we're not going to get into all the details, and you can go check out the series if you missed some of these weeks. But it's giving out and giving away, giving up, giving in, giving thanks, giving to yourself. And the big final one, forgiving. To keep this law of circulation flowing in our lives, those are all practices that expand or at least keep the channels clear. And even when we recognize our true source of abundance and we navigate through our blind spots and we practice activating our true potential, we can still find that it feels like, at least at times, our efforts are sabotaged. Sometimes it feels like others are. Sometimes we recognize that we are the ones who are stuck in these limiting patterns that perhaps have been guiding our lives for a long period of time. The author calls these abundance shadows, and that's our topic for today. As we discover them, uncover them, heal them, integrate them, we unleash a creative energy that was previously used to suppress or deny or disown those parts of ourselves. So we invest a lot of energy if we're not willing to look at the parts of us that we don't like or we don't want to even admit that are a part of who we are as a human being. And a lot of these are developed in our subconscious in our young, very young and teenage years. Growing up, we've all had, or at least I'm going to say most of us have had an experience that when we acted in a certain way or demanded something, we were blamed or shamed or guilted or punished for asking, for stepping in to something that we wanted. And we took on a belief about ourselves, and it's going to be different for each one of us, and there may have been many that we said, oh, yeah, that must be the truth. Whether it's I'm bad, or I'm selfish, or I'm stupid, or I'm not enough, or I'm unworthy, whatever those, with having no adult filters, with not having a developed enough cognition in our way in which we perceive those, we just took it on. We said, oh, they're the authority, that must be true. Or perhaps we were damaged by someone else's behavior that created the belief that I'm not safe, or I'm not free, or I can't trust others, or myself. They may initially motivate us to be different or better, creating some great qualities. Sometimes those can be a real gift because they push us. If we have this shadow belief that I'm selfish, we may go out of our way to really develop our giving muscle so that we can eliminate that from our system. But eventually, they start to rise up. They start to drive the car, and we can find ourselves angry or frustrated or just uncertain of why I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, and life just doesn't seem to be flowing in the way I would like it to flow. I remember very clearly my desire, and I'm guessing that this is pretty universal too, declaring very adamantly that I was never going to be like my parents in some aspect of them. And I also remember the absolute horror when I found the same words coming out of my mouth to my children. So it was all in there. It just had to have the right pressure in order to express itself. And I know for me, as I've been working to uncover my own shadow beliefs, almost every experience when I feel angry or disappointed or fear or anxiety is triggered by one of these subconscious limiting beliefs, whether I'm awake to it or not. And for me, I have certain ones. I think most of us have about a handful, maybe a few more, really core that will just show up in every aspect of your life. I've recognized that some of mine are that I'm not important. The mantra I heard from my mother is other people's needs are more important than your own. I had a social worker for a mother, a minister for a father, and other people's needs are more important than those little needs that you think you've got going on. That I'm alone and that I'm not enough. Almost always, if I'll take the time to sort of dig down, go back to where those first started, those will be at the center of it. And it did drive me in different ways. I grew up pretty poor, and my unhappiness at not having stuff, the dollars, the freedom to get what I want, drove me to working hard by the age of 12. For me, it meant freedom. That's what, at that point in my life, money equated to freedom. Freedom to do what I wanted. And by my late 20s, I had achieved a lot. I was making more than any of my family had ever dreamed about making. And I had basically all the material stuff that I wanted. But I realized through a spiritual awakening that I didn't have inner freedom. I was being driven. I didn't feel like I had purpose and passion. I mean, I was in the computer world, and I would ask myself, what difference is that going to make? That I've invested 6 days a week, 12 to 15 hours a day to create this, how is that going to make a difference in my life or other people's life? And so that shadow drove me to this path to discover what inner freedom looks like, what true abundance looks like, and it's still a journey. It's a lifetime journey. It's a journey that continues today. Engaging in this shadow work, and I've been doing it for a couple of decades now, specifically the latest, the quantum living process, is my quest for inner freedom. The author offers in this Abundance Project, and you can get it online now too, a process to integrate these shadows into our lives. A process that we can awaken and tend to them and embrace them and heal them and know a greater truth for ourselves. Engaging in this work has broadened my understanding that even when it doesn't appear that way, everything is working out for our highest good, that nothing is wasted, and there's nothing wrong or broken about us. There's just a misinterpretation or a misperception about some part of ourselves. Yeah, that's where you could, Derek Rydall, go out there and Google it, you can find it out there. The author writes that our shadows are actually very valuable parts of us, and they must be respected and tended and integrated in order to reveal their goodness. He also suggests that our shadows play an integral role in our own growth and evolution, that they're there to push us to places that if everything was great, we might not be willing to go. How many of you wake up and go, I want to go find some of my shadow parts today and heal them? Won't that be fun? I hope somebody really triggers me today, really gets those negative emotions. We don't do it. When things are good, we happily roll along with it. So it's the stuff that challenges us, that gets us to be in an uncomfortable place, that causes us to grow and evolve. If you hate or reject that selfish part of yourself or others, it might spur you to develop this more giving part to your character. If you hate or reject that controlling or dominating part of yourself or others, and usually that which is a mirror to us is the part we can discover about ourselves, you often develop a more flexible, flowing, collaborative aspect to your character. And the place we start is just by looking and understanding what our core shadows are. In the new year, I'm going to be offering you a place to really go dive deep into that. But sometimes if we're just willing to ask, we can discover those parts of ourselves without having to go through a huge process, but just by opening ourselves to it. You can start by looking at the areas right now that you're struggling with, that you're pushing against, or that you're avoiding. And that's going to be our opportunity. Aren't you glad you came to church today? Because today we're going to see what might arise for us, just to bring us to that place of awareness. So as we move into our time where we get to reflect inwardly, our time of meditation, I would just invite you to kind of set aside anything you might be holding on to. If you're comfortable, close your eyes or just focus on some point in the room so that your attention is brought to your inner being, beginning with the breath and feeling it moving in and out of your body. Acknowledging that it is always there in that flow, even in those times that we're not aware. And this work is always, always calling us to be connected with our heart center, to be connected with our intuitive brain, as well as our intellectual brain. So imagine just for a moment that that thinking part of you is slowly sinking down and gently coming to rest in your heart. And that intuitive part of you, that part that is connected with the divine wisdom of the universe, is rising up until it comes to gently rest in your heart. So that you are now in the awareness of divine wisdom. And in this sacred and safe place, I invite you to allow some part of your being, some part of your conscious or unconscious mind that is struggling in this moment, that you are either pushing against or not wanting to see that part that, whether we are conscious of it or not, is guiding the way we think and feel and act. Invite it in, make it welcome. And recognize that this is something that you took on as your younger self, as the self that didn't know that there were other ways to engage in the attitudes and the words and in the beliefs of others. And then listen to see how it is that you can be a balm, an affirmation that can affirm a new truth that you can seat deep down in your subconscious mind. Just listen and make peace with this part of you for a few moments in the silence. And say to this younger self that's holding this limiting or false belief, you are a beloved child of God, wholly loved and equipped to be a light in this world. Affirm it again, silently within, and this time claim it in this present moment. I am a beloved child of God, wholly equipped to be a light into this world. Take another deep breath, and as you let that breath go, you let go of that limiting belief and feel this affirmative truth move through every part of your being. Embrace it and allow it to express as the abundance of life through every part of your being. And whenever you're ready, you can begin to bring your attention back to this time and place, aware once again of your body, the chair supporting you, and whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. So the other aspect that the author brings up when we're dealing with abundant shadows that can be a contributor is something he calls a values conflict. And when they're in conflict with each other, that shows up as our own internal conflict. A values conflict arises from the belief that to attain one value means that we have to sacrifice another. Our human wiring likes to tell us it's either or. But our spiritual awareness says, what? I know you guys get tired of me. Both and. It's both and. For example, let's say that we value safety, security, self-worth, and a successful career, and we value family and rich memory experiences with our loved ones and a deep spiritual connection. The common experience, the human experience, is to be torn between them with oftentimes unconscious guilt or fear that one or the other is going to cause pain in our lives. And when we understand that it's happening, it becomes possible to rewire these values together so that they're on the same team. They're working towards the same goal. A successful work that provides safety and security and provides for my family with an abundance of time to focus on deep connections, whether they're with family or with God within. That it's possible to do both. But we have to be willing to find that balance in our own lives. Shadow work is integral in our abundance journey of embracing and unleashing all of who we are and who we have come here to be, including the wounded and the rejected parts of us. And the only way we can do it is really to be kind, to be patient, to be intentional, and to be loving as we practice and we build those muscles over and over again, tapping into that flow of universal source that's always available. One of the best ways we can do that, the thing that gets us the closest, it is the energetic match to abundance, is gratitude. Gratitude, a daily practice of that, will begin to unleash and heal those shadows parts of us. Gratitude for the freedom to change and to grow and to evolve. Gratitude for our shadow parts that point the way of that growth. Gratitude for the safety and the security that we enjoy. And today, as we celebrate Veterans Day, gratitude for all of those who have served in order to protect and keep our United States, America, a free country, and our people safe. Well, it is our opportunity now to be in gratitude for all the abundant good that is flowing in and through our lives and flowing in and through the lives of this community. Center of unity. Let's join as we hold it, or the energy of what we're giving today, in our hands and our hearts, and bless it together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God.
We all stand up together, we'll join hands, and let's do our peace song.
And so as we go into this day, into this week, committed to love one another, we go knowing our prayer for protection. Together, let's do it. Call and response. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Together, wherever we are, God is, and all is well. All right.